interviews, you've been talking about why you started seeing therapy and the effects that Iraq has had on your drinking. And we've talked a little bit about Sandtray, and so I brought everything in today. I wanted to see if this was something that you'd be interested in trying out.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, great. So just to give you some background, what you can do is just like put your hands in the tray, get a feel for the sand. You can use a sand tray however you want. So you can like make mountains, you can make hills. The bottom is blue, so if you wanted to use like the ocean, it's totally up to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and shake this and clear out my energy from it. Okay. And then you can also go ahead and pick different characters to share your story. For choosing the characters, you can pick ones that you like. You can also pick ones that you feel like speak to you. I always suggest trying not to think about it too much and just kind of grabbing the ones that you feel resonate with you. So, yeah, do you have any questions?
No. Thank you for explaining everything. Yeah, I feel like I have a good understanding.
Okay, and let me know, I'm going to sit back here. Let me know if you have any questions during the process.
Okay.
And then I'll either finish before time's up, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll let you know when you should start wrapping up, and then we'll start talking about it.
Okay. All right, I think I'm good.
Okay, you feel complete?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the scene and the story that you put in the sand here?
Well, so when I was in Iraq in Hadifa, it was the place it was called. And in 2005, we got attacked. When I was deployed there, this is kind of something that comes up in my mind before I start drinking. It's a really hard day for me to process, and that's kind of where all the alcohol use has been stemming from. So you don't have to think about this. But anyway, so our convoy, which is like a row of vehicles that went out to do like a routine patrol around the area to see what's going on. We were attacked. My vehicle was actually attacked, and what this is basically paints where the eels are the insurgents. This is an Iraqi truck that went over this bomb. And anyways, our vehicles, my vehicle went down. I was in the back seat, and my vehicle went down the wadi, which is like a little riverbed, little ditch, and they detonated this bomb, which unfortunately killed two of my Marine buddies in the front, the driver and the vehicle commander. And then this is me and my other buddy getting out of the vehicle and running back to the berm where there's our convoy was pretty deep, but this is the second vehicle, and then this is the two Marines getting out. I can remember looking over and I see the other two Marines instantly getting out and returning fire on the insurgents. And I just chose these characters just because it sounded like it made the most sense to me in terms of like expressing that kind of traumatic experience. And this is what plays in my mind, and then right away it's almost too overwhelming at times to kind of think about it, especially if I'm alone, and then I start drinking from that.
Thanks for explaining that to me. Can you tell me why you chose the eels, the insurgents?
Well, I just chose the eels because they're kind of like elusive like creatures and stuff like that, and just that like when we were in Iraq, whenever we get contact with the enemy, you wouldn't really see them. They would always run back into buildings and stuff. They take like pop shots and stuff. So, and I think like an eel, if you find one in the wild, it might hiss at you or attack you, but then it's going to run away if you try and attack it back. So that's what I was thinking for them.
Okay. What about, why did you pick the squid?
Oh, the squid. Well, just because, like, how he has tentacles and stuff like that. One, because he blends in with his environment. And the roadside bombs, often you can't see them because they're concealed by trash. To this day, I don't know what was concealing the roadside bomb. It might have been buried or something like that too. And then once you disturb an octopus, obviously it's going to come out and either wrap around its prey or whatever, or it's going to release ink. And that's what I was kind of thinking about, like why I chose the octopus as hiding and something kind of dangerous in the area.
Which dolphin are you?
I'm this dolphin right here.
And then the other one was your buddy.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me why you think you chose the dolphins.
Well, it's in conjunction with why I chose the sharks as well. Obviously, we're both, we're all Marines in this situation, but I chose the sharks because I thought of my buddies who were killed were, more warriors, and they had given, the ultimate sacrifice. And I kind of felt about how God was in that scene, and he allowed us to be free for whatever situation. So I kind of think of the dolphin as a symbol of freedom. It's still a strong creature, but that's why I chose the dolphins, and that's why looks like they're going over the berm like this. So we're falling back to a safer location, and I just kind of think about that freedom and how I'm able to live my life, and that's partly why I'm in therapy, so I can reclaim my life from alcohol abuse.
And then I also wanted to know if why one of the turtles is turned over, and then the other one, so that was the car you guys were in, and then the one behind it was where your other buddies were that came out.
So I just kind of thought the turtle would be a good choice, just because our vehicles, it's called a Humvee, it's armored up and everything like that. You can see the shells kind of representative of the armor, and that this one is flipped over because when we hit our ID, we flipped over, and then we had obviously the Humvee is more meant for like gunfire and stuff. It can resist it, but it's not very well protected against the roadside bombs. So that's why I showed the soft part of the turtle that might be more vulnerable.
Okay, was there anything else that came up for you during this, or that you wanted to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about?
Well, I just really like this therapy because I feel like I put everything out there, and I don't know, it just seemed easier I know it happened that day, and I used to be in prolonged exposure, and it was really hard to have to relive the moment without really anything, I guess, representing what I had. I knew what was there, but it was hard for me to say it to the psychologist at the time. That's why I quit prolonged exposure. And this here, it just seems more, I'm more in tune with what happened.
Yeah, it feels like that. I really appreciate the time that you took to specifically decide where everything goes, and you just put a lot of thought in this, and every character, it seemed like, had like a story, and it was very meaningful. I also know this is really difficult to talk about, so I really appreciate you taking the time to not only come in, but you really put yourself out there and talked about your story.
Thank you.
So what I liked about Sandtray Therapy was I feel like it gave the client a chance to externalize what happened to him. The pressure wasn't necessarily on him to explain his story, but he was able to explain his story in a more tactile way and symbolically. And I feel like everything that he used was so purposeful. Yeah, I guess I feel like it's just a different modality to use, and that one that's just available for us, for people who might have a hard time
expressing how they feel about like a traumatic event or something that happened to them, it's a good starting point to start the conversation.
Just as a client, I really like this therapy because it's, I know what the trauma was that occurred, and that I had an idea of how to say it, but it was a lot harder to say it when I was in more cognitive therapies because I wasn't ready to say it at that time. And this made it easier for me to tell my story by putting it out there within the Sandtray instead of having the, for example, like in prolonged exposure, you have to relive the moment and then explain it to the psychologist.